we're going to go to a very honest Senator Inhofe here. He's going to talk about racial profiling. And what Senator Inhofe doesn't really do is nuance. So let's go to clip number 1 and see his thoughts on this matter.
And I'm for one, I know it's not politically correct to say it, I believe in racial and ethnic profiling. I think if you're looking at people getting on an airplane and you have X amount of resources to get into it, you need to get at the targets, not my wife. And I just think it's something that should be looked into. The statement that's been made is probably 90% true, with some exceptions, like the Murrah Federal Office Building in my state of Oklahoma. Those people, they were not Muslims, they're not Middle Easterners. But when you hear that not all Middle Easterners or Muslims between the ages of 20 and 35 are terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslims or Middle Easterners between the ages of 20 and 35, that's by and large true.
Not really. Okay. First of all, inside this country, we had Scott Roeder, who was a terrorist who killed an abortion doctor. My guess is that Senator Inhofe is not counting that. Number 2, by his own admission, in his own home state, we had the second worst terrorist bombing ever in the country by a guy who is not remotely Muslim, Tim McVeigh and Terry Nichols, those 2 guys. And then if you go worldwide, Tamil Tigers, the IRA used to do terrorist bombings, the Basques in Spain and France, and the list goes on and on. He just makes up well, this statement is by and large true. 90% of the men between these ages are, all the terrorists are Muslim. Because I'm not politically correct. Well, no, you're not just not politically correct, you're simply not correct. You just drop the political part. But I love the bias that oozes out of that, which is, and it's perfectly exemplified by, not my wife. I don't want you profiling my wife, okay? You got to go after those Arab-looking guys, okay? They're the ones that are doing it. By the way, the shoe bomber now might have been Muslim, but his name was Richard Reed. He was from Jamaica, okay, originally. So how do you do that? You cover your bases, just profile everybody who's black too? How you want to do that? Now listen, if you do your, I'm a tough guy, I'm not PC, racial and ethnic profiling of even, let's say you were right, which you're not, of all Muslims, well then, we've talked about this before, then the whole watch list becomes absurd. You got 1 billion people on the watch list, you're like, this is going to take some time. Okay? No, what we want to do is profiling of suspects. So if someone, for whatever reason, is on a list, say, hey, you know what, his dad turned him in, like the guy in Nigeria should have been on the list, or he's been associating with known Al-Qaeda guys or other forms of terrorists, etc., have a reason to put him on the list so that the list is manageable and actually works and is not useless, okay? And to my knowledge, Senator Inhofe, your wife is not on the list. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, right? And if you want to be helpful and say, hey, here's how the list can function better, hey, I'm all ears. That makes sense, because look, the list did not work in Nigeria. A guy should have been on the list. There were several reasons why he should have been on the list, and he wasn't, okay? We want to do smart profiling of suspects. We don't want to do dumb profiling of everyone.